And you are welcome to the No Stand Zone podcast. Wow, it's a pleasure to have you here. I mean, if you're still listening to this podcast at this point, you are the OG. You deserve an award, you deserve a handshake, you deserve a job, man. Thank you very much for tuning in. We've been out for a bit. Yeah, we've been, I wouldn't say MIA, but a lot has been happening. Like, life has just been lifing. It wasn't a vacation. It's not like I took a 3 weeks vacation and and I forgot about you guys, and you wanted to hear what I've got to say about the latest happenings in the Nigerian music industry. It wasn't that. It's just life was lifing. And I mean, if you've been listening to this podcast long enough, you know what this means to me, and I wouldn't go that long if it wasn't, without dropping content, if it wasn't something like serious enough, that, or something that would, like, there was no way to record, or it was just, personal stuff. So it was a mixture of all of that, man. It's a long story. This whole pod will be all about that, but thank you very much for tuning in today. Like, a lot has happened. Plenty things don't happen. I mean, the Olympics finally over a few weeks ago. The Nigerian women basketball team doing greatness, beating top teams like Australia, beating top teams like Canada, qualifying to the quarterfinals. Like, no other team had ever done that before. I mean, other great things happen. Oxlade, you guys know that I've been talking about this on like several pods ago. I was mentioning that, wait, where is Oxlade's album? Well, we finally have it that Oxlade will be dropping an album really soon. Like, a lot has been happening. And it feels good to be back. I'm going to cover just a few of the things that I think are the most important since I've been out. I don't think I should go through every single one of the things that I think really mean a lot. We'll just go through a few of the things. I've been listening to a lot of music as well. A couple of projects dropped. Dbanj, the legend, dropped an album. Cavemen and Show Them Camp also dropped an album. Like, a few people dropping singles here and there. And yeah, I'm going to be sharing my thoughts on this so we can catch up. If there's anything I'm missing out, you guys know how to reach out to me. Send me those messages on Twitter, or send me an email. It's nostandpod@gmail.com. On Twitter, you know how it is. It's nostandpod. You can reach me directly at Tiae Sound, Tiae Sound. Let me know what you're thinking. If I've missed anything you figured at the end of the show, just buzz me. Let me know what's happening. And I've been listening to a lot. I've been listening to a lot of music, and I'm going to be sharing some of my thoughts on this music with you today, and some of the things that I saw this even as recent as this past week. Omahlay tripping and wilding on the internet. Like, breathe. That's what I can say. I will get into Omahlay's foolery in just a bit. So stay tuned for that one. Where do I even want to start today? Let me start with the legend. The legend. In today's Afrobeats, a lot of people, a lot of our OGs are not in the conversation. Because the sound has changed, the territory has changed. In fact, it's not, the music industry is not the same way it was either 15 years ago or so. And so when you have someone like Dbanj actually release a project, I had to listen to it. He means a lot personally to me, growing up and just listening to his music. He was like Michael Jackson. If there was anyone close to that in the Nigerian music industry, it was Dbanj. And he used to call himself, well, he still calls himself the entertainer. That was who he was. It wasn't like he had the best, lamba out there or best lyrics, but he just has his way of entertaining us, either from the performance, and he was moving with Don Jazzy at the time, who at that time he was more of the artist and producer than he is today. Today is more of an executive, right? So Dbanj has done a lot to hold the industry together. And so for him to decide to release a project today, for me, that was it's just respect to that. It's not easy. I think it takes a lot of boldness, a lot of guts to even try that today. And I've been hearing a lot of people say that, oh, the OG should release albums. A lot of them like P Square, they should release album. And for me, my opinion on that is they don't have to. Nobody stays in the music industry forever. And the way people behave on the internet, it's like their favorite artist is gonna keep singing forever, or is gonna be in the music industry forever. At some point, they're gonna have to stop. There are very few people that are still active, like at the top of their game in the music industry, that are above 35. Right? There are very few people. Like, if we even want to look at it, I mean, Taylor Swift is below 35, right? We'll look at who else is buzzing right now. Just even on our side, what's his name? Davido, Wizkid, Burna Boy. All these guys are not 40. None of these guys are 40 yet. So all the guys that are buzzing around the world, Coco Jones, all these people are less than, they're in either some of them are even like early 20s. So I'm wondering, the way people talk about their artists, like they're going to continue forever, and like this experience is never going to end at some point, right? It's like getting old. Everyone is you're just wilding while you're young. You make fun of the old, like people who are older, like you're never going to get old yourself, right? So I think that's kind of like how I see how people are moving today. So when I heard of this album, I mean, we've heard of it for a while, but I've been like really, really anticipating this Dbanj album. I'm glad it's finally here. I had the opportunity to listen to it. Here are my thoughts on the album. Let me just pull up the album real quick, so we can just go through some of my thoughts on the overall project. Now, on the project itself, first of all, the most first obvious thing in this project is the fact that you could see that Dbanj here employed the services of songwriters, people who are in the industry today, who are currently either artists or writing music today. That was obvious in the lamba he was using. Lamba, I mean lyrics, and the words that he was using. And I could hear some of that. I was like, yeah, there's no way Dbanj knows all of this current slangs that he can put in the music, right? So I honestly commend him for that. Not too many people will actually admit that the music has changed and decide to use, people who are more current. Like one of the artists that I actually hold this against, who released an album last year, is Wande Cole. And I was so disappointed. I remember I was on a Twitter space last year, really went hard on Wande Cole and how he went about just the project he released last year. I think that album titled The Legend or something like that, which he is. Like most of the artists that exist today, the Fireboy, Joe Boy, Omahlay, they're all like his children, his sons, because he has been giving that R&B soft Afrobeat sound for a long time, right? And he had held it on. Like even today, still vocally, nobody comes close to Wande Cole in today's industry. Like in the past how many years that this industry has been on, nobody still has come close to Wande Cole, even compete just on the vocals alone, right? So I was just really mad that he didn't employ using songwriters, people who can actually help him. It was felt like a lazy work. But with Dbanj on this album, I felt like there was an intentionality in, I want to sound a lot more like modern. I just don't want to bring my swag from couple of years ago and kind of force it force it down people's throats. And the thing is, you can't even force your music on anyone today. It's either they like it or they don't. So I really, really commend him for doing that. Understand that way. I never, my time or the lamba I feel won't use today you don't shy. Make I bring people with Sabi out the thing they go stage. So shout out to him on that. I think outside of that, it was, for me, this was a really hard listen. I want to choose my words carefully because of where I put Dbanj. And yeah, say what you may about me being will I say a little diplomatic. Yes, I will. I'm choosing my words carefully because I think he's too much like up there for me to use certain words that I will use for just anybody out there who releases a project that I think doesn't meet the mark. And I think most of all, this album just lacked the X factor. It was something was just missing. Every time I listened to the music, I was like, something was missing. I don't know whether it was some of them sounded, I felt like you could have used more more current sounding beats on some of this record. One of them even sounded like it was like a church kind of, if you understand, like those celeb beats, right? And the way the song was just composed as well was just really, 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 really bad. I listened to it and I was like, I think it's this one. Oh yeah. It's this track 11, titled Tiae, man, bro. I was like, no, brother. Like, how did you even record this in a studio by a producer in today's Afro beats, and they let you go by? So I'm even looking at people who look at how many people are on this album to say they. It's. I'm going to the credits of this song Tiae, and I'm seeing written by like a gazillion people here claiming writing credits on such a terrible song. Like the writing is such a terrible. Like even the melody is so bad. Like Tiae, 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 Tiae. I'm like, what is happening for a modern pop song? Why is that in anybody's album? Why is that arrangement of melodies in anybody's album, pop album today? Even if a gospel album, a Christian album, you can't even put those melodies together like that in today's world. It's like a modern contemporary gospel, like Nigerian gospel album or gospel song. Nobody's listening to that. They're like, bro, that is like from what, 1980s. So I was like, why? It wasn't necessary to even put this song in. So those are some of my problems. Some of them just lacked. It felt lazy, right? You didn't have to. And how many songs are on this project? What, 16? You didn't. If you're giving me 10, a couple of songs could have been out of this project. If you're giving me 10, it would have been fine, right? So I felt some of these songs were lazy. Some of them just lacked the X factor. Honestly, it was hard to listen to some of them. I would say, which one would I even pick? For sure, I would say the song of this project. The song of this project is Coco Remix, the number 12 song on this album, The Entertainer, the sequel. Oh my goodness! And I mentioned this. I think I put out a tweet a few days back, and I said, okay, this remix actually has Akon on it, so it's the Coco Remix, Dbanj, Akon, and SKeys. And Akon amazed me on this feature. I haven't heard Akon drop a feature this good in a long time, in ages. I actually put it, when I got to this, like my ears were wanting something. I wanted something good out of this project. I didn't just want to listen to this whole project and be like, oh my God, how is it that there was nothing on this project that I could actually put on repeat, right? And just listen to over and over again. And here comes track 12, Coco Remix with Akon and SKeys. I was like, oh my goodness, Akon really dropped his, like he delivered on this track. And I was like, how is it that we only have one of this kind of record on this album? Another thing is, I'm like, Akon still has this. This sounded like a 2010 Akon, like a like a 2008 Akon, like at the prime of it. Like he almost takes over the whole song. He's got the unique voice, yes, and then the melodies, and he's been dropping some projects in the past couple of years, right? But then, and on those songs or projects, I listen to the lyrics and I'm like, bros, we don't pass this on, right? The same thoughts I have for Dbanj, right? But on this particular feature, my goodness, he dropped it. Like, this was a really good feature, man. I was like, man, Akon still had something in the tank, and shout out to him. I was glad he was able to drop it, give those last, I don't know if it's the last discount, but really give his best to Dbanj on this one. And two of them have been, they've been one of the best to come out of the continent in a long time. Although Akon, grew up in the US, but he strongly claims his Senegal roots, so Senegalese roots. So I have to say he's out of Africa, right? So it was just really good to hear these two together on a song, and I'm just like, Akon still has this. This was a really good song. I really liked the song. Was on repeat for a few hours on the day of release. But another thing that amazed me is, you guys will not believe that the song that I said I didn't like, the one that's titled Tiae, that sounds very, just very way back. The song is the most listened to song on this album on Spotify. It's got like over 500,000 streams. And this is sometimes this is what happens sometimes, where you listen to a song. Sometimes this happens, and I'm not gonna even deny that you're like, this song is not good, this song is bad, terrible, but then people just gravitate towards it. I'm looking at this song and I'm asking myself, how is it that this song is the most listened to song on this project? It baffles me. Maybe it's in the simplicity. That's another thing as well. It just sounded very simple for me, at least sounded really simple and lazy, but it feels, well, most people actually like it. But overall, finally on this project, I would say it definitely was lacking something for sure. But I think for Dbanj, his legacy is solidified. He's going to be referred to as a legend now, tomorrow, yesterday, always, as one of those strong pillars, strong foundations for Afrobeats. And all the success we're seeing today, artists like Dbanj can be credited for kind of holding things down for a long time, for decades, for sure, putting us on the map. I mean, at some point, he had two of the biggest songs out of the continent. I'm talking about Oliver Twist. This was after his move with Kanye, and before that he had Endowed, the remix with Snoop Dogg, and with Dbanj with Don Jazzy as well, which one of the biggest songs at the time. And I remember seeing that music video where Snoop Dogg was featured. You saw the Rolls Royce there, the green, white, green, and then they're giving Snoop Dogg a Nigerian passport. I mean, I saw that video shot by Chesson, by the way. Shout out to him. I saw that video and I knew something definitely was changing in the Nigerian music industry. We're talking about the first set of people to actually get there and draw attention to what we're doing here on the continent, what artists are actually doing on the continent as well. So Dbanj, a legend. Of course, the album didn't really meet the like, it was way below par, didn't reach the level of which the best of the best are putting out there, for sure. But my man, I'm gonna be spinning this song with Akon for a long time, man. It was Akon. I was shocked that Akon still has this. He sounded like the 2010 Akon, right there at the peak of his career. So shout out to my man. Shout out to Dbanj for sure on such a such a bold move to release an album today, and knowing that what the reception might be. I mean, when he released some of most like of his projects in the past, there wasn't an internet to there wasn't internet where not like there wasn't internet, like there wasn't social media is what I would say, where everyone can just come and every something like an area out there, whether they know about music or not, can just say anything, right? But you can kind of feel that, you can feel the environment that, of course, it was respected, but the music industry has changed today. I'm glad he's still able to release music, and he celebrated 20 years. 20 years in the industry. So I mean, what can we say? Shout out to Dbanj, the legend, for putting out a bold project. Or putting out a bold project is what I will say. So what else have I been listening to so far? Another album that I listened to recently is the one by Camp and Cavemen. See, I've always said about, especially these two artists, they've always been like on the, it's not like the fringe, but they're always seen like, of course, like the alternative, right? They're always seen as dropping out their alter, like they like to call them. Camp, if you don't know them, a rap duo. I'm a big fan of them as well. I would say, I didn't know about their music. Like, I haven't known about them like really like for long. I think that I've known about them maybe for 3 years, because I don't listen to a lot of rap. Probably the only rapper I really follow and listen to every project that comes out is MI. So after I started to listen to them, they've become one of those people when it comes to rap in Nigeria, that I can actually listen to. It is very grounded. Like, it is what is ours. It's not like you're rapping and you're using some American slangs for me and then it doesn't make sense, right? Or the cadence, how you drop your verses and all of that. But for me so far, I would say the rappers I can actually listen to and get what you're talking about and actually feel the music, Camp is one of them. Camp, for me, Camp is MI. And these guys have been able to put out projects, right? Psycho YP, of course, one of them. I respect Odumodu Black as well, irrespective of what social media has got to say about him. I think he's got his lane. I mean, you cannot deny the success with everything he's been able to achieve. I mean, he's been able to do shows here and there. I think that has to be respected for sure. Irrespective of what so-called hip-hop heads think about him, he's one for sure that I respect a lot as well. So I mean, there are about 4 of them right there that I could say I listen to a lot. But I mean, there's still others out there like Replay, Vino, I think that's his name. There's Fino as well, who doesn't release as like too many projects, so I don't know what to say. Of course, one of the top albums this year, in my opinion, by the man himself, Ill Bliss, one of the OGs as well, who's come out really strong this year. So, I mean, there are a few of them that I listen to like that, but Camp for sure has been one of those people who I can actually listen to their project. Not someone who has a song out. I can actually listen to their project. And so when they collaborated with Cavemen and David on this album titled No Love in Lagos, this brilliant work here by this artist, man. For me, this is one of my favorite albums this year, like hands down. I was listening to this project and there wasn't a song that I could say, oh, I want to quickly skip through, right? Cavemen, it's like they were just involved in some of these songs enough. It wasn't trying to dominate with their sound, but their sound was just there, was just in the right proportion. You know, they give you more of that like high life feel, right? So to hear that along with like the Afro beats and the like infusing the hip hop elements again to some of these songs, just like to the beat. I was impressed. I was really, really impressed at the way this was put together. Yes, I mean that's also like this was put together real well. Not even like the song or everything, just like the arrangement of the music. How much of Cavemen are we going to require on a song? How much of SDC are we going to require on a song, right? And it was just like every song just had the right proportion. You just had the right proportion of the artists on every song. That was what amazed me. I was like, how can a project sound this cohesive, this good? Right? It wasn't like, oh, let me skip this because it's got too much Cavemen. Let me skip this because, oh, these guys are just rapping too long. I mean, the word it is today. Most tracks are not 8 minutes or 6 minutes, right? So for me, I'm not a big fan of Cavemen. It's not like I don't regard them as really good artists. I just don't listen to them as much, right? So coming into the album, I didn't even know what to expect, but it was just a good dose of both artists. Man, whoever was the director or the producer of the project itself, this was well put together. I really, really like this. This is up there as one of my favorite projects, one of listens this year for sure, like hands down. And it's amazing that I would say at this point, I would say some of my top projects this year have been, as I can say, rap leaning project with Iblis, Sedekai, and now No Love in Lagos. And just the theme also was throughout the song, throughout the project. The idea of No Love in Lagos, I was asking myself, is this like a love? Like, are they actually going to be speaking about like relationship things and things? But it was way more than that. It was of the idea that things are hard. People are hustling. Like, it's like nobody, like, there's no, what's the word I'm looking for? Nobody is, is out there slacking. Everybody's trying to make it, right? And if you slow down, you're gonna be trampled over. Basically, it's some of what I got from this project, and this was beautiful work. I have to say, this was beautiful work. The production as well was top notch. I have to say, my goodness, this is one of my favorite listens this year for sure. One of my favorite listens. Shout out to these guys who were able to put this together, and I can tell you, it's a different thing for two people who are like group, like Shoda and Camp, to say, oh, we want to put together a project. But then two people, you're going to bring together more people to join you in putting out the project. I really want to know what the recording process was like, what the creative process was like. How were they able to get it done? I mean, the moment you have more than one person or involved in the creative direction of a project, you're at risk of being in the wrong page. And then talk less of having so many people involved as well. It's like, how were you able to get it done? And then it sounds this good. I honestly would love to hear some of their thoughts around how they were able to pull this off. What was that like? Did they at any point in time have disagreements as to, what direction do we want to go between, just between Shoda and Camp as the group, as an art, as the artist? And was there any time that Shoda, they as the artist, had issues with, or they wanted to go or Cavemen wanted to go in a different direction, right? So that would have just been interesting to see how they were able to resolve some of those conflicts, because I can tell you that, yes, those conflicts for sure, they must have had conflicts, but it's interesting to see or to know how they were able to resolve some of those conflicts, and then put out such an incredible project. I will say one of my favorite for sure is this track 4, right here. The song is titled Why. I really do like this one. And it's gonna be interesting what the live performance as well. It's gonna be interesting what the live performance of this project will even sound like. I hope they're going on tour. I hope Shoot'em Camp and Cavemen are going. They should go on. There's no way you release an album this good and you don't go on tour. I hope they are. I hope they're gonna be reaching the city where I am paying money to see them perform some of these songs. I am paying money to see that happen. This was an incredible project put together. I cannot even imagine the nights and days and hours. And the thing is this, like I was saying with the Dbanj album, just give me 10 tracks. 10, we're good. I didn't even realize when the whole project even started again. Right? It was just like back to back to back, and the next thing I was hearing the intro again. 32 minutes of stellar music. 32 minutes of stellar music. This is how it's done. This for sure is how it's done. I'm impressed by what they were able to do here for sure. Really, really impressed. What else did I listen to, or do we want to go? I have one of our artists that I would like to talk about again today. You guys know, you've listened to this album long enough. This pod long enough. Every once in a while, I like to remind people of the talent called Morravey. And at this point, we need to put out a missing person call out there. What is going on? And I know it's probably not her fault, and that I'm probably going to be putting out a tweet on this one like, Davido, what's up? And for you, you're listening to this for the first time, you've never heard me talk about her. I regard her so much. I heard a self-titled EP or album of last year, and I can for sure hear the talent. I would say outside of Iris Star, there is no other female pop artist that I'm actually like head over heels about right now when it comes to talent. I'm talking about pop, right? Now, I'm not, you know how I feel about King Maddie. She's not a pop artist, right? For those who might want to, look at me a certain way. But of the pop artists, the female, I think Morravey is extremely talented. With that EP and what I heard there, top-notch EP to introduce yourself in the industry. And I was just so shocked that the label and Davido did not see, or they did not hear that and feel like this lady needs to be out and about. She needs to be on the streets. We see where King Maddie is. We're seeing her often. If she's not releasing a record of her own, she's featured on someone's record. Like, we can actually see her. She's going on tour to other African countries. And it's like nothing from Morravey to even help her sharpen her skills. We're here again. I think at every point in time, I need to remind people, I haven't been excited about someone that I hear, I haven't been this excited about a new artist since like King Maddie. Right? So I'm wondering what is happening with her. Someone should put out, we need to put out an alarm, like turn on an alarm and ask, what is happening with Morravey? She is too talented to be kept in the dark. Put her out on the streets, please. And that brings me to the point, not everybody should be a record executive at this point. Because anyone that has small money now, I'm a label exec. Not everybody should be. And the thing is, it's okay. Because I feel like her career could actually be ruined. She's been out too long. This is 2024. You know, like, unless you're one of like the top acts, you shouldn't be out of the game this long without anything, no project. And you're a new artist. It's like a year already, almost a year. Like, you just released that project and you just went quiet. It's not like, oh, a year of like being active, being out there. I'm not saying release new project, but be involved in the industry. Like, be an artist. And this is not to Morravey. This is actually to the label behind her, because it's obvious that I'm sure she doesn't want to be seated where she is without doing anything, not putting out music, not collaborating with other acts as well. And I feel strongly about this. Like, I don't know her from Adam or anybody in her team, but I cannot see a talent this good and not come out at intervals and say, my goodness, what is happening with this artist? Not everybody should be a label exec at this point, man. I'm so mad about this. Not everybody should be. I mean, we should be honest about it. We should really, really be honest. Another artist that is wilding, not another artist, but one artist that is wilding right now, got everyone talking this past week is Omahlay, and he went on a podcast. I don't know when that was, because I couldn't figure out the time. But the video going viral this past week of Omahlay on a foreign podcast, and my guy went there, and a lot of people again angry over what he said, that a certain artist, he shared the idea of his project with a certain artist, and this certain artist heard the sound and decided to use that sound to release his own, release his own project using that sound. And of course, people have been able to decode that he's probably talking about Rema. Now, that even sounds wild, right? But I don't want to even focus on that part that everyone is getting mad about, right? That's a really stupid take, and I will speak to that now. The reasoning behind it. The first thing he said, I think the person interviewing, this was a foreign host, this podcast, not Nigerian, two white guys interviewing him on this particular video that went viral. And one of them probably asked him something about what is this new sound? And he replied with something like, there's this movement called Holy Ghost. He is creating a Holy Ghost movement. Now he has a song, I think, titled Holy Ghost or something. And that is where my problem is, right there. I always ask myself, why? And this is not just with Omahlay alone. A lot of our artists have been doing that recently, maybe except for maybe Davido. But a lot of artists have been going out there, and literally the moment they see a mic, they get in front of a mic with a white person, they lose themselves. Burna Boy has found himself in this situation as well, going and saying all sorts. You all know what that was about, saying we don't have like Afrobeats without substance, and he's the one bringing it. Fireboy also went there. The moment you see a foreigner and you see a mic, they lose themselves. Fireboy have also done the same. Buju and Ruga have also done the same thing. And now Omahlay. And the thing with me, that it's for me, what bothers me is usually the reasoning behind these takes. Why is it that whenever you guys these artists want to release a project, or they see a foreigner, and the thing is, they don't behave like this when they go to the local radio stations in Nigeria, right? That behavior is not seen. They can't even say that because the person in front of you knows what they're talking about. But the moment they see a foreigner, they see a mic, and they just feel like they can see anything. Another thing there is this, and I'm just this is just my opinion, my thoughts on this. I don't know for sure. I'm thinking, is it the labels, or I'm feeling the labels put them out there to, or there's a conversation that when you go out there, you need to be the next, like, you need to make yourself sound like the next big thing, right? Because that's usually the reasoning behind all of them. All of them go out and when they're promoting their album, oh, I'm the next big thing, my own sound, my own genre, I'm creating something that has never, and then Omahlay in that same video say he's about to create the greatest Afrobeat album ever. Like, that is such a childish thing to say. Like, it's so ignorant, so steeped in ignorance, I will say. How do you know you are not the one that's going to be listening to your own project? It's going to be left for the audience to decide. And it's not even left for the audience. It's not even for everybody to decide, right? It's just a matter of time. We just know when a project is classic. Like, there is nothing about it. We just know as time goes by, and it's not like, 3 months from now, we'll just come out and say, oh, that album is classic, or is a classic project. And then it's like you're just setting yourself up to fail. And the thing is, he's a really talented artist. It's shocking that every single time these artists get in front of a mic and a foreigner, whether the foreigner is white or black or whatever color, they lose themselves. It's like, oh, I'm the next best thing. I'm the next shiny thing. It is me. In this Afrobeat, it's me you should be listening to. You will kiss the boots and the behind of anybody just to make yourself look like you're better than everybody else. And at this point, it's just tiring that every one of you come and you do exactly the same thing. You want to promote an album, you have to shit on the rest of the crew. And it's not like you're shitting on the rest of the crew. It's like, what is the right analogy that I'm looking for here? Oh, it's me, master. Basically, it's this. I am better than the rest. Because none of them, they don't own any of all those things. None of them. The reason why they're in all those foreign places is because of the record labels behind them in the first place. So those people need to make their money. You need to debase yourself and show just how small you are, that you need to shit on your whole industry or your colleagues just so you can look bigger, just so you can look better. For me, it shows how small in their reasoning they are. And they keep doing it. All of them. This is way beyond Omahlay. So many artists keep doing the same thing. For me, it's just tiring at this point. And it's just sad to see. And this idea of every time somebody is creating a new sound, somebody is creating a new movement, from Rema to Omahlay himself to Fireboy, I'm creating a new sound. I'm creating, like, that's, and the thing is, these artists are talented. You can't even shit on them because they are actually talented artists. This is what you expect from amateurs, people who do not, maybe they're just talented amateurs at this point, is what we'll say. I put out a tweet maybe 2 weeks ago now. I said, if Adele was Nigerian, she's probably thinking of releasing a reggae album just to show us that she's versatile. Because it's like, that's what happens with most of these pop artists. You release one album, and the next thing you feel like you need to revolutionize whatever. R&B sound is R&B sound. There are artists that are still doing the R&B. If you, like I mentioned, Usher has over 20 years at this point. Over 20 years of projects. It's R&B. There is a whole genre called Amapiano, and they have artists as well. So I'm just asking myself that, I mean, it's like, so these artists have no idea of what like genre, like what a genre actually is. There's rock music, and there's so many artists that are releasing rock like albums every year, and nobody is saying, it's not like you release a rock album now and then next year is like, no, I need to release a country album. That's the way it is. It's like people just lose the idea of what a genre is about. Every time it's like you need to revolutionize, like change the whole thing. You need to reinvent yourself every single time. How long are you going to last? At some point, it's going to be diminishing return. I see that with Burna Boy. He's still selling out shows and stadiums. He's not performing any of like the really new songs. He's released like two albums now. Back to Love Damini, right? He's released also this new I Told Them, right? How many songs is he performing from those albums that are actually motivating the crowd? Most of the songs motivating the crowd are songs way beyond them, from Twice as Tall and way back. That's what people are coming to hear. I dare him to do a show centered around those two projects. For me, I think since like the Love Damini, whatever he was trying to do there, it's just been diminishing return. With this, I Told Them, it wasn't just nowhere. And I know his fans will be crazy, like, oh, it's the best album, whatever people are saying. It is very obvious that the quality of his music has been dropping the past two albums. Whether we like it or not, it's the fact. Whether you say the album is not bad, the album is good, it has been dropping. None of the last two albums have been good as Twice as Tall, right? Or African Giant. So for me, this whole idea that artists need to, and it's just with our artists, you need to reinvent yourself every single time. It's just mind-blowing to me. I need to come out and say you're creating something. Man, it's sad. And the thing is, they actually believe this. These artists actually believe what they're saying. I don't want to believe that they don't. They actually believe this. Every artist is like, I'm reinventing the sound. I'm coming up with a new sound. And he can be wild enough to say he made a sound and somebody dubbed his sound. Like, I don't even want to go into that. A lot of that has been said on the internet already. So, I mean, that is that. But the part that really got to me is this whole idea of, oh, my sound. What sound do you have, bro? You're all Afrobeat out. You're just pop artists. It's just like Taylor Swift coming out to say that, oh, this sound is my sound. It's a genre. Everyone in that genre is there are gonna be elements that connect you guys together. That's why it's a genre. And that's why you need to improve either in your delivery or in the songwriting. That is how it goes. Right? Sabrina Carpenter, Chappell Roan, Taylor Swift, 3 female artists in the same genre, pop, right? I'm sure if you look at some of their songs, you can probably connect one or two that probably sound similar, and nobody's dying or killing themselves over it. It is the genre. That is what a genre is. There are certain markers that you hear, you know, oh, that's pop. Oh, that's country. Oh, that's K-pop. Oh, that's Latin music. Oh, that's reggae. Like, there are certain things you hear. So this idea that everybody wants to come out and say they are creating something new. And the thing is recent. I think is more recent. Everyone wants to come out and you want to show the white man that you're different. You want to show the white man that you're the smartest. Because that is who all these messages for. It's not for us. Whenever they go on these platforms, it's not for us. We know what's up. So they are speaking all of this to the foreigners involved. It's just really, really sickening. It's just really, really sad. It pisses me off to hear this every time. And I'm like, nobody's speaking to this artist. Like, man, Tiae. Tiae. This is 2024. We can't keep having that. Honestly, we can't keep having that. On things that have happened, that I'm kind of that kind of caught my attention since I've been out. There was a video that came out recently. You guys can go check it out. I think it's from the Terms and Conditions podcast, right? And one of the posts there, my goodness, I think her name is Melody. Yeah. She made a statement. I saw a video a while back where she made a statement saying she was defending. They were talking let me take a couple of steps back. They were talking about the relevance or something of radio stations in Nigeria. And they were talking about how some radio programs like the Breakfast Club in the US has become like more of a podcast, has become like really, really powerful and really influential, where you're having more than just artists show up. You're having actors, politicians, presidential candidates also show up because of the reach that they have, reaching millions of people every day. And I think one of the hosts was mentioning that, why are radio stations or radio shows not becoming podcasts? And Melody, I think her name is Melody Hassan, and she went on to say, and this video is so important, one of the most profound videos I've heard. And what she said that nobody even caught whiff of, like nobody even thought about it. In that video, her defense to that was that the OAPs are not allowed to just say their minds on the radio. You cannot be honest. Right? You can't be honest on the radio. Everything they say literally is almost like, it's like everything is almost scripted. Like they have to watch every single thing they say on the radio. Now, I know there are regulations, but the way she explained it is way more than that. Like they can't even say their real thoughts about projects because they need the audit. They need the artists to come in, and it just had me thinking. And stay with me here. Now, the economy of Nigeria has been down for a long time. And up until recently, a lot of young people have been out on the streets protesting. And there was a list that came out weeks ago about so many, a list of companies that have actually left the country, right? And talking about multinational companies that have left, talk less of local companies that have shut down because they're not able to make profit at this point, right? And as someone who has worked in radio for a long time, one thing I can tell you is this: the lifeline of radio broadcasting in any community where you find it, the lifeline is middle businesses and small businesses. Those are the people that actually advertise. Those are the majority of companies that advertise on radio. Medium scale companies and small businesses, like medium business and small business. The size is what I'm talking about. Medium sized businesses and small businesses. Those are the heart of the advertising money that radio stations get. How many times have you listened to radio and you hear an advertisement or an ad for Google or an ad for Tesla or an ad for maybe Walmart or or your popular grocery store, right? Most times the big companies are not most of the companies that are advertising on the radio. It's the medium-sized companies and small companies. They're the people who are able to, most of them are, let's say out of 10, I can tell you that 8 of the 10 ads are by small to medium size companies. Those are the people who advertise on radio. Now, if you connect that, with that information, you look at the companies that have actually left Nigeria. These are some of the biggest and medium-sized companies in the country. Now, local companies are not even surviving. So the ad they're already bleeding ad dollars. So the radio stations are at this point, to keep the lights on, they are literally at the mercy of the artists and the labels at this point, because they're the ones who are going to pay to have to come for maybe interviews or to cover certain events and things like that. That's how they have to keep the lights on. It is not with the ad dollars, because I said dollars, ad money. That's not where the money for the Nigerian radio stations are coming from, because how many people are actually advertising on those radio stations? Right now, so if the ones that are even advertising, how many radio stations are you going to go to at this point? If you go to the top 3, you're good, right? If you go to the top 3, you're good. So what happens to the other radio stations that are actually there? How are they keeping the lights on? And it was just like a light bulb in my mind, just connecting those two things together, that when you listen to some of these radio shows at times, it sounds so dull. For me, it always sounds very dull. It's like the artists come in there and they come in with this, oh, I have paid you. So, I mean, I'm here to just, I've paid you for my money. I've paid you to be here. You get that kind of thing. And the radio stations are like, oh, the kind of energy that I get is this. It's like the radio stations are like, okay, you've paid your money, more just do this interview, may work out, come on for here, may the next person come, that kind of thing. That's kind of energy I get. Because I see some of these interviews, there is no life in it. In some of them, there is no life. And I would even hold the radio stations accountable here. There's no life. At the same time that we say, at the same time when we say, the OAPs or the presenters are not allowed to actually express themselves and actually to say what's on their mind. At the same time, they have to be creative at this point. Right? The host that mentioned it early in that video had a point where it says, they have to they have to be creative, like become a podcast or find a way to do something else. Because I've seen some of the videos that come out of those radio stations, and I'm like, how is this? How do you even want to post this on social media? How do you want to post this video on YouTube? Because even the positioning of the cameras is bad enough. The quality of the videos by these radio stations is not even good enough. I can get better quality using your phone. You can have better quality. right? So I mean, at the same time, it's like, yeah, it's obvious why every time you see the artists go on these radio stations and with these OAPs, everybody has to be like, oh, the project is marvelous, the project is nice, the project is, nobody can really say what they think. And comparing it to the Breakfast Club, like, nobody holds those guys. There's no holds back there. They say what they think about anything and any project, any artist. I mean, there are regulations for sure, but it's like they're giving autonomy here. And then people are drawn towards that. So, I mean, that exists, right? Where they're not allowed to say what they should say. But at the same time, they need to get creative here. They really need to get creative. And the point of them not having like YouTube presence, social media presence, at this point, I think is their fault. It's their fault. And I haven't even seen of like one OAP that I see their interactions on social media. Right? Like, let's say the conversations they are having, you just literally take it and post it on social media. I haven't seen that happen. I mean, what does that say about the OAPs themselves? Are they really, really good at their jobs at this point? You're just there to say, oh, stay tuned for the next track. Oh, stay tuned for the next track. Oh, the new music. Oh, next caller. You can call the phone number, It looks like that's just basically what everybody's doing there now. I think there are ways around it, honestly. I think there are ways around it, but that's just my thoughts on that. It's just really amazing to just put the two and two together. That, of course, every artist now we hear, you can't really hear the truth about what people think about projects because even it's not, I wouldn't say it's their fault. They're all belong to the labels and you just keep your mouth shut and your money, like, and move on. So nobody can even say the truth. Someone release a project that is below par. All we're talking about in the interview is, oh, so what was your inspiration? What was your inspiration behind the project? Right? So, and then the person will tell you, oh, my mental something. And then you're like, oh, wow, really? I beg, move, forget. I don't want to go on and on. It's just listening to some of this, listening to some of it, or watching, should I say, some of these videos of these interviews. It's so bad. I think I put out a tweet a few days back. I was like, I think they were interviewing this rapper. I can't remember his name. And he mentioned in that interview that his favorite, I think that he was asked, the host asked this rapper that, who is one artist that has actually influenced him or he regards in a pretty high regards. And he actually said Terry G. And I was like, what? For me, the excitement on my face, watching the video, I was like, really? And if you see the hosts on this radio station, they didn't even give him back because he was so excited to say Terry G. And I was shocked. And the two hosts, radio hosts, there was no reflection of that energy back to the artist. Right? I was like, really, Terry G? Tell me more. And they were just like, oh, yeah, Terry G. Some people say he's Kinnick or OG, whatever. I was like, my goodness. Right? So a lot to be said here. A lot to be said here, man. Those are some of my thoughts on some of the happenings around the Nigerian music industry. As always, please share with me whatever it is you're thinking, or whatever news comes your way, or whatever you have counter thoughts or supporting thoughts to some of the things that I've said. Don't hesitate to reach out to me on social media. It's Tiae Sound, Tiae Sound, or No Stand Pod, both on Twitter. Please don't hesitate to follow on YouTube. Is No Stand Zone Podcast on YouTube. No Stand Zone Podcast on YouTube. I don't have anything on Beyond the Zone this week. Like I always say, please, if you have any good and you see anything out there, some really feel good videos or something that happened that you're really that caught your attention, you can share that with me. Just tag me on any of those videos to the video on social media. I'm not the greatest with Instagram right now, but we'll get there. The most important thing is we're putting out the content right now, week after week. Okay, so please, any thoughts, reservations you have, please reach out to me on Twitter. I will get back to you as soon as possible. Please like and follow on YouTube as well. Thank you very much. I'm really glad to be back. I was out for a while, so thank you for listening to the very end of this. Always, you guys have the highest thanks, all right, for listening. As always, please don't drink and drive, don't text and drive. Until next week, stay blessed.